Hey y'all, this is Kobe R. Rice, and I'm back after a 2 week hiatus. Not on purpose, I promise you, due to the insanity and craziness of graduate school. So, quite literally, as of tomorrow, November 6th, I will officially be 1 month away from finishing out this final semester. And that's pretty insane. The semester has been going like kind of quickly, but also really slowly at the same time for a variety of reasons. But me just being crunched to death for the past couple of weeks is what kept me from giving you last week's update. So I'm sorry about that. And I'll give you guys an update as to what's going on with me. But first, I want to make a couple of announcements. The first major one is major shout out, and I just wanted to give these guys a really big boost because I recently was contacted by the directors and the producer of this amazing sci-fi TV series in development, essentially, that's called Surfer's Paradise. It sounds a little bit like a summer beach movie, but it really is not. It's actually an independently directed, produced, and independently shot sci-fi film dealing with artificial intelligence, a really awesome post-apocalyptic dystopian world, and basically the human being who is applying to be a part of this colony that is essentially a safe haven from all of the death and destruction that has happened in our world. So the concept is really, really incredible. And I'm going to put a link to the actual Kickstarter campaign that they are running right now. I'm going to put that below in the show notes, but you guys should definitely check it out. I'm based on the trailer that they have going, which I've also put the link to in the show notes. This is going to be a really amazing TV series, and these guys are working on the pilot right now. So if you're interested in, having some amazing sci-fi concepts out there in the world that are independently produced, that are doing brave, new, amazing things, then you definitely need to check out Surfer's Paradise. It was shot in the Czech Republic with some amazing talent. The cast is diverse. The premise is fantastic, and you guys should definitely go support it. So I'm going to read a quick blurb because the blurb describes this amazing project way better than I can. So humans have dropped the ball. The planet is destroyed and at war, and the superior, enlightened artificial intelligence are trying to piece the world back together. AI have separated themselves from humans by building a wall around their own utopian district. The AI new district is lush and safe, while the old district, where humans live, is plagued by war, famine, and death. But the AI allow a limited number of humans to apply to join them in the new district. Ben, a human who lost his family, chooses to apply to live among the AI in the new district. His trial is a process called the Judgment. Dun, dun, dun. And the trailer to it is below. So definitely check it out. It looks amazing. And shout out to the directors and the associate producer. If you guys are listening to this, you guys are doing amazing work, and we wish you nothing but the best. So go, sci-fi fans. Go and support them and love them to pieces. That's the first shout out. Second thing I want to let you guys know is that for this month of November, we have, as usual, a brand new crop of free, dark, and gritty sci-fi, fantasy, and horror novels, along with a new crop of sci-fi, fantasy, and horror, romance, and erotica novels available at newadultnoir.com, which is our blog for finding the best, darkest, most kick-assiest sci-fi, fantasy, and horror novels that are independently published and produced. And so you guys know what the New Adult Noir brand is about. We love indie, dark, gritty, sci-fi, fantasy, etc. And we are here to bring you some really amazing, fantastic reads. So as a part of our promo, every single month we have a fresh new crop of free books that are available to you guys for download with really nothing that you have to give up except an email address so that we know where to send them to you guys. And so go there and get your life and go get some free books. We have, I believe, almost 27 free books in all different, subgenres and niches in the sci-fi fantasy genres. So check that out. We also have 10 more amazing series that you can dive into. Oh my gosh, there's some amazing stuff available from this sexy series called Submission Island. So if you're into some sort of dark BDSM romance and you're into spankings and things like that, that is definitely something you want to check out. If you're into something that's a little bit, less sexual and sensual, but more action-packed and thrillery, with a splash of urban fantasy, we also have an amazing series available called The Hound of Eden. I personally cannot wait to get the entire collection. This series looks incredible, and on top of it, it deals with a premise that I am actually currently developing on my own project slate. So we have a bunch of different amazing series. Another series called Grandmaster's Pawn, which is a sci-fi romance, but also very actiony, and so on and so forth. So I mean, I honestly have to say, I am super excited about what we've been doing at New Adult Noir for the past 6 months. And it's just been really amazing getting to know the authors of these independent works who work so hard and are so professional and just, have the most amazing premises and ideas and plots just to give us and to feed us and to feed our minds and imagination. So I would not give you guys anything that I did not think was hot and incredible and amazing and a perfect fit for all of you dark hearts out there. So definitely go to newadultnoir.com. That's NEWADULTNOIR.com and go pick up your free reads. Okay. So that was kind of like a long intro, right? Let's get into the meat of it. There is so much to update you guys on. So this is going to be sort of a heavy podcast today. Sorry about that. I hate piling it on, but, it's just been a crazy 2 weeks. On top of that, just in the world in general, there have been a lot of really interesting, sometimes very tragic and also very scandalous things happening in our world and in our country. And I actually promised you guys a political podcast like a couple of weeks ago, but I just haven't been able to get around to it. So I will be dropping that at some point in the coming week. I'm crossing my fingers, I hope. Unfortunately, literally there have been 2 mass shootings, a terror attack, 3, federal indictments, which include conspiracy against the United States of America. I mean, there's just like all this craziness happening, collusion, scandal, treason, terrorism. And so, we just need to sort of talk about it. And you guys know me, I tend to have like a relatively liberal, mostly progressive point of view. So, if you're not really into that point of view, then that might not be the podcast for you. So just FYI as to what is coming, but this podcast is not political. We're going to just deal with what I have entitled Creative Epiphany, Location Independent Lifestyles, and the Blackheart Bakery. So welcome to episode number 46 of the epic, fantastical journey of a Black female sci-fi writer. This is your host and resident psychopath. Not really. Don't go and report me to any crazy house or whatever. It's not that serious. But in terms of how much work I take on and how many projects I have going on, you probably do think I'm kind of cray-cray. So what is the Blackheart Bakery, right? Of everything that I have to update you guys on, like a bakery is just so ridiculous and random. But we're going to talk about that towards the end. Okay, so just grad school wise, there have actually been quite a few things that I've discovered about graduate school, myself, my work. So, I finished out the Addams Family Dramaturgy and I hosted my first post-show talk back, which was great. I am officially done with my dramaturgical responsibilities to that project. And, it was a cute little musical, it's a cast of, 18 and 19-year-olds, who are still like learning the ropes, but who are also like very talented. And, it was just a nice performance and a production. Certainly very much within the bounds of what one could expect from, a college level production. And they really worked their asses off on it. So, I'm proud of it. I'm proud of like what we were able to do together and like what I could give to, the production as a dramaturg, what little I could give, because we're still trying to find a way to integrate dramaturgy with like the institutionalized version of what's happening in our department. So that was interesting. No deep thoughts on that, but I did have some epiphanies in my film editing class. Like, I really enjoy editing, but I recently discovered the joys of creating special effects and coloring, and I am just super excited to delve way more deeply into that. Not saying that I don't want to focus on becoming like a bomb ass creative editor. I definitely do. But if I were to specialize in anything in this industry and like hire myself out, I would definitely hire myself out as a colorist. I'm just, I don't know what it's not even that like coloring or being a colorist is particularly exciting and like the actual technical things you have to do. It's very technical, but there's just something really sexy about taking a really crappy shot or a really crappy photo where the colors don't have much distinction from one another and making that photo pop, telling story through color, telling story through tint and hues, just helping characters become even more of who they are, and, helping the environment and the composition really speak at maximum value through color. I find very fascinating. At least at this point, I haven't sat with a single production for hours at a time. So maybe once I do that, I'll be less in love with the art of coloring. But I definitely want to focus more strongly on coloring and on effects. And that's sort of what I learned this week. And for the past couple of weeks, what we've been working on actually is documentary editing and creating a montage, which is really, really fun and interesting. And I realized just generally, not only with film editing, but also in art just as a whole, that music is a really huge part of how I interpret and deal with the world. And so in my editing class, I realized that I really like to cut on the music and cut on the beat, especially if we're dealing with like sort of like non-linear editing. I can do it with linear editing as well, but I really enjoy cutting to music with non-linear editing and just, so I don't know. I'm still exploring that part. And yeah, I guess we'll see where that goes. Sorry, I'm a little distracted. Like my television is on, and as it changes, Netflix has its own little sort of screensaver. As each of the screens change, it's like a different color casting onto my face, which makes me think about like what I just talked about with coloring in film. Anyway, that's a random side note. Let's move along. It's coming down to the wire where I have to finish up this Titus Andronicus protocol for my classical dramaturgy class. That's gonna be hell on wheels, and so just pray for me. But I like Titus Andronicus, so hopefully me liking it will make things less painful. In my contemporary trends class, I feel like I'm finally starting to get the hang of creating, theater moments, which is really great. I created, I would say, one really successful moment last week and another moment that could have been more successful. I liked it, but we just needed more rehearsal time, more practice, and more coordination. But I like both of them, and I would like to keep them. I actually wrote some lyrics for for my other moment, and it was really funny. And which is surprising because my lyrics were about whitewashing and essentially like dismantling white supremacy, and for whatever reason people were really amenable to the way that I wrote the lyrics. I don't know, I thought I was a little bit uncomfortable and nervous thinking that some people might be offended, but they weren't, which I find fascinating. It's like, okay, there's a way to talk about these issues without becoming completely polarized, which is great. So generally, like, that has, things have been going pretty well, just, at a steady clip, which is great. And then, of course, I have my TA-ship with, like, our final bits of grading. I think we have about 2 more big assignments that we have to grade. And I just actually finished grading one major one. So, again, it was just coming to the end and, like, doing, like, lots of finishes and stuff like that. Nothing majorly exciting in the actual class itself, but what I have been thinking about, it has been my growth as an artist and theater maker. And I really have been reflecting on not the micro details of the program, but sort of the macro arcs of the program that I'm in. And I realized that like I'm on a very interesting path. So if you look at my program and me from like a bird's eye view, year one was really all about like getting the theory and the research methodologies and the history, the theater history on point, which like literally nearly killed me because I hate theory. I find it useless pretty much useless outside of like looking smart to your peers and to other people, and you know what I'm saying, like so anyway, I'm not going to go into why I hate theory, but just know that I'm just not a fan. I'm more into theory and like just perspectives that help to inform the practical methodology of making theater. So if you have a theory on how to arrange a space, that and I can test that and see how it works in my own practice, to me that is the best kind of theory, is the one that can be practically applied. Anything else I just find no use for. So my first year was very challenging, and I really was very strongly considering like leaving the program because I wasn't really sure if the direction of it was good for me as an artist, because I wanted to make things and we weren't really making much in the first year. But the first year was very foundational. This second year, on the other hand, is pretty much sort of the mirror opposite of the first year. I haven't really found a place where I'm using much of the stuff I've learned in the first year, but I'm still, waiting for it to make its impact. So I'm trying not to judge too early. But this year has definitely been a lot more about developing hands-on practical skills that I can put into my toolbox and into my skill set that will help me as a dramaturg and as an artist. And that is the kind of program that really turns me on, and just gets my blood flowing. So this year, for year two, I'm like learning how to be a dramaturg. I'm learning how to analyze, dissect, and put back together plays from a classical perspective, how to create, theater from an experimental and devising perspective. And then this year we'll also be dealing with new play dramaturgy, and things like that. So, I mean, last year we did a couple of hands-on things, like some production dramaturgy, which was great. Some of us worked on, I know I also worked on an actual theater production, which was frightening but like helpful in terms of building my portfolio. So that was sprinkled in the first year, but this second year it is much more concentrated, all of the practical skills that I'm learning. And so I realized that now that I'm coming to pretty much the halfway point of my education in this program, I'm thinking about my third year. And my third year is essentially, because the first 2 years are pretty much hardcore defined by the program before I even got here. The third year is far more flexible. I'm literally only taking 4 classes for the whole year. I mean for like both semesters. And the last semester is only going to be my master's thesis and an adaptation playwriting class. And so, for the third year, I realized that this is the time wherein I start to develop my own interests and my own specialty in dramaturgy. And I have come to understand that my specialty is going to be in adaptation dramaturgy and in translation dramaturgy. As you guys know, I have a pretty decent proficiency in several languages. And so, even if I'm not perfect with speaking, reading actually goes pretty okay, and at least enough so that I can be very flexible with my communication in many different places. I'm not trying to like gas myself up. I'm just telling you guys the truth. And so I realized that like I really would like to use those skills in conjunction with bringing more diverse, more international perspectives, voices, and actual pieces like plays and theater pieces from abroad into the United States, because American theater is not particularly well known for courting pieces that come outside of our American tradition. And I think it's important to get other different pieces from all over the world into the country so that we can see how other people make theater, if that's what I'm going to do full time. And then the other part of that, not even the other part of it, but sort of like the other half of my dramaturgical alter ego would be adaptation. I'm really into taking sort of old stories, well-known stories, and just translating and transforming them into different media and into different contexts. So, for example, as I think I told you guys a few weeks ago, this Titus Andronicus protocol that I'm doing for my classical dramaturgy class is essentially the groundwork and foundational work that I'll need in order to produce probably what's going to be a crime noir adaptation. And I mean like crime noir in like the vein of Raymond Chandler and Dashiell Hammett, adaptation of Titus Andronicus, but like also more diverse. So it could also be like an Afrofuturistic adaptation of Titus Andronicus if I really wanted to make it. But so things like that, for example, like, I also considered turning, and I actually, it's not even a consideration anymore. It's an actual plan it's a plan to do so, and it's on my project slate. Turning Tartuffe, which is a French play written by Molière, about basically religious hypocrisy. Taking that and turning it into a musical set in a Baptist church. So yeah, I realized that I do have this desire to basically translate a lot and adapt a lot of these different stories into just different contexts, and it's really exciting for me. So I realize that is a kind of dramaturg that I want to be, and that I'm probably going to be if I go into theater full time. I will also be, if I am ever a lit manager, dramaturg, or artistic director, I will be focusing on cultivating the voices of people of color, as well as helping to preserve and further develop the Black theatrical canon. So that's sort of where I'm going in terms of like my growth as a theater maker. And I came to that realization as I was thinking about all the things that I'm learning and how I'm growing. And that's a major milestone for me because I didn't really see a future for myself as a dramaturg or as a theater maker. And so now, even though I'm pretty positive I'm not going full time into theater, at least now I know what kind of theater maker I want to be, and the skills, I know what the skills are that I need, and I'm getting those skills while I'm here. So this, for those of you who sort of already know exactly what it is you guys want to do, this might sound a little bit middling and kind of wishy-washy, but for me, this is like a major milestone. Okay, so that's graduate school, and I told you that, guys, that this would be sort of like a long kind of update because, I haven't been around in a minute. So let's see, I'm going to cross a couple things off of my list here. This is like the most unorganized podcast ever, so I hope that you guys are getting something out of it. But ultimately, I started this podcast as essentially like a running live journal of my creative progress. Like, hopefully this will go on for like the next 40 years or however long I'm going to be around, God willing. So yes. Okay. So what's next? I have my little note cards here. I've also just very conveniently fallen in love with kabuki theater and actually, thankfully, I like those beautiful, gorgeous theater traditions from Japan are just so amazing, and I've even found a way to work those into the books of Ezekiel. As you guys know, like Caleb Rye, if you've read it, is half Japanese, but the rest of his family is full Japanese. And so there are a lot of interesting dynamics going on between like them and then the other characters of the series, and then just diving into as deeply as I can without appropriating into like different facets of like Japanese culture, I think is very interesting and important. And this is not to say that all Japanese people go and watch kabuki all the time, but it is definitely a very authentic part of Japanese culture, as much as American theater is a part of our culture. So that's just one of my most recent obsessions, and I love it. By the way, there is apparently a kabuki version of Harry Potter, which I find incredible, and I need to go see it and get my life. Okay, so speaking of my writing has definitely picked up in the past couple of weeks, which has been kind of crazy, but good at the same time. I hit 5,423 words in the past 3 weeks, in the past 2 weeks, excuse me, which doesn't sound like a big deal, but compared to the entire month of literally writing nothing in October, for me, this is majorly good news. So, I've been working on Hollow Point. But as I've been working on Hollow Point, of course, more of the story for the other books have been unfurling and unraveling. So about half of those words were written for Hollow Point, but then the other half were written across like 3 other books that are in the series. And so that's coming along. And then I'm also working on I worked on a little teeny tiny bit, the world building for the Asylum trilogy that I hope will be coming out next year. I mean, who knows with how crazy my life is. But doing like a lot of research and writing and things like that. I've also been working on Immortal, the TV series slash serialized novel that I've been working on. That's an urban fantasy sort of. I wouldn't call it like a dystopia, but I guess you can call it an urban fantasy dystopia. Dealing with race. And not only have I been world building and plot weaving for that, but I've also been doing other things in terms of my research. For example, I've started to do a pilot breakdown for some of my favorite pilots of my favorite series. So Daredevil is currently in the midst of getting a pilot breakdown from yours truly, because I really want to understand every single beat of the pilot and understand at which point I was completely blown away and what really impacted me and made me, I don't know, just get addicted to Daredevil, versus what turned me off. I really want to get inside of that pilot episode, get inside the series structure, and find out what it is that makes Daredevil tick. Because I'm not trying to recreate Daredevil, but I do want to borrow some of the elements that make that show incredible. You know, it was very dark and gritty, and you know that that's entirely up my alley, and I sort of want to know how they executed that on the screen, on the page, and through character. So, you know, sometimes the best kind of world building you can do for your own series is to deconstruct the world of other series that really have made a major impact on you. And Daredevil is certainly one of those series. Another pilot that I'm breaking down, it was essentially a full-fledged movie, but I call it a pilot because it felt more like a TV pilot than a movie. But the pilot to Blood, the Last Vampire, and I'm not talking about the whack anime version or the whack live action version that came sort of later on. I'm talking about Blood the Last Vampire, the gorgeously animated 2000 film version, which was essentially done and released as a full-fledged film, but it's essentially only 45 minutes, and that's pretty much just about the length of a pilot. And as a potential pilot, which could open up an entire series or an entire franchise, as it did, it was essentially perfect. And if you haven't seen Blood the Last Vampire, the original one, just Google Blood the Last Vampire 2000, like the year 2000, and you can stream it somewhere and watch it. It is truly incredible, truly gorgeous, very well done. The action is perfect. The emotional resonance is perfect. The animation and, you know, just the coloring, the composition is perfect. It's one of my favorite movies. And I'm treating it as though it is a pilot to a bigger series, because it really is not only a perfect short film, but also a perfect pilot. And so these are the kinds of things that I'm engaging in order to further understand, again, those elements that have come together in a perfect storm to really just knock me off of my feet. And Once I sort of figure out what those elements are and I'm able to put my own twist on it, I'll be able to bring my own concepts to a new level, but that are very much within my brand and my style and in my voice. So that's sort of what I've been working on as well when I have like time and my copious amounts of free time. That's what I've been working on. I am also, and this is not even like that interesting, but in the course of trying to build and preserve and figure out where Rebel Ragdoll is going, I created a Rebel Ragdoll social media map. And I mean for like all of these subsidiaries that I'm trying to build, just trying to figure out what kind of social media outlets, pages, websites, blogs, podcasts, vlogs, so on and so forth. Basically what each subsidiary would need to have in terms of a social media presence. And looking at my entire social media map built out for my entire potential company, which would be Rebel Ragdoll as a holding company and its various subsidiaries, which I think are 7 right now, or 7 planned subsidiaries, I would literally need 122 different social media accounts. So like each subsidiary would have like a Twitter, a Facebook page, an Instagram, what else? A YouTube channel, a blog, a website. A few of them have podcasts, and I can't even remember the other ones. Wait. It's actually on my wall. Let me just take a look at it. Oh, and I also counted LinkedIn pages and mailing lists. So every single way in which each of my companies can reach an audience, I have mapped out which social media sites those companies need to have. And collectively, the entire Rebel Ragdoll Fempire, which would include Rebel Ragdoll Press, Rebel Ragdoll Productions, Chick Rogue Studios, The Bohemian Badass, the Dollhouse Foundation, Miscellany, and then the 2 author brands, Colby R. Rice and Vanessa M. Bain. Currently, all those together collectively would have 122 different social media outlets. So I'm not doing that to stress myself out or to like jump the gun, but I sort of just need, I'm looking to hire a virtual assistant. If I can afford a virtual assistant, that's also an issue, but I really do need to hire one. And I just need to be able to give that person an overview of not just where I am right now, but ultimately like what the company is. So this is not to say here, manage all 122 of these outlets. It's just to say this is where we're going to be going in the future. And, you know, I feel it's important when you're getting somebody on board who you don't who doesn't know everything about your company. It's just important to give them like the past, the present, and the future. So that's why I sort of made that map. But it's also just good to keep my head wrapped around like all the things I have to think about going forward. So that's something that I would recommend actually if you're like an author and hopefully you're not insane like me trying to build an entire media empire from scratch by yourself with 122 different social media outlets. But if you have like one brand, like let's say you're like, you know, writer L author, you know, at writerlauthor.com, I hope that you do start to sort of like create a social media map for yourself and decide which outlets are best for you, and which outlets you need to have and to manage, and, you know, just do the damn thing. So let's see. Is there anything else before I get into like the 2 other big things? I don't think so. I think I went through everything. Wow, y'all. So let's talk about really quickly, in addition to, we're going to talk about like being location independent. And this is not like a tutorial on it because obviously I haven't done it yet. But I realized recently that at some point, you know, I really do want to get back out in the world again. And I don't mean like just out of graduate school. I mean like in the world. I mean like traveling through Africa, South America, you know, through the parts of Europe I haven't been to yet, through Asia, visiting Australia, I so badly want to go to like New Zealand and the Kiwis, and definitely want to go travel through Scandinavia. The North Pole would be amazing if I could get up there. And definitely several countries on the African continent, including Zanzibar, which has been my love, my like long distance love for a long time. So I definitely do want to do some more traveling. As you guys might know, in 2011, I took my very first trip abroad by myself, and I backpacked pretty much across the entire continent of Europe by myself. I visited most of the countries in Europe. I think I hit over 20 cities or nearly 30 cities. I have to double check in my diary. But it was incredible. It was the best trip I've ever had, like the best experience. It changed me, like, it just changed me fundamentally. I've always been sort of someone who's been more internationally minded and multicultural and, things like that. But just experiencing all the different countries, the different cultures, the different ways of life, getting outside of the American context was incredibly edifying and satisfying and amazing. And I loved it. And then I went back in 2013, and I haven't been outside of the country since because, of course, I've been here with my daughter, raising my baby. But as I've been thinking more about what I want to do as a writer, as a novelist, as a filmmaker, game designer, vampire builder, etc., I realized that like I want to find some way to combine all of my creative endeavors with the ability to travel again, of course, with my little girl by my side. And so I've been really thinking about and considering living a location independent lifestyle. And that doesn't mean being outside of the country all the time. But it does mean having the ability to travel outside of the country whenever I want, in a way that is not going to be disruptive to my baby and her growth. And so I really was just like jazzed up about this last week, and just trying my best to get as much information and as many resources as possible. And I decided that it is something that I would like to do, probably for, I would say, maybe about 6 months out of the year, not all clustered together, like maybe spending 2 months here, 2 months there, you know what I'm saying? 3 months back home, or spending the summer back home, or like the holidays back home, etc. I just want my business to be, again, location independent, so that I have the option and the flexibility. And I'm definitely looking into it. So, I have to sort of really look inside and follow my heart and follow my dreams, and just make sure also, though, that my daughter is safe, she's protected, and that she is educated, she's taken care of, and that she is put on a proper track. Because obviously, like, the main issue that pops up for me is not even money or health insurance. I feel as though I can take care of that as long as my business is thriving financially. It's more so thinking about my daughter's education once she hits kindergarten, and also thinking about how to create a foundation of stability and love and care. Sometimes, and it depends on your child, right? Sometimes a child is just better just being grounded in one place, and then they have to decide later in life where they want to go or where they want to be. Other children are okay being on the road and, traveling and having a more flexible schedule. And so, it really kind of depends on essentially what's going to be best for my child. But in terms of education, I definitely was very seriously considering getting an au pair to travel with us, wherein the au pair can homeschool my daughter. The au pair would preferably be a woman who I trust and I can get to know for quite a bit before we do any traveling whatsoever. And so that's definitely something I'm thinking about doing. So it's not, I don't generally see, the thing is, I like being spontaneous, but I sort of like plan my spontaneity, if that makes sense. For me, I have to do like a very cold hard calculation of like finances, healthcare expenses, educational expenses, plane tickets, where we're going to live, do the research on the country in which we might be living, wherever we might be going, safety issues, just everything, all the things that I need to take care of. I definitely need to have in place, not just for my daughter, but also just for myself. I like to just do my research and really ask around, find out, not only through the internet, through books, reading, and through, courses and classes, but through like word of mouth and actual real people's, a real life experience. So I'm just letting you guys know this because it's something I'm thinking about. If like a year or two down the line, I'm broadcasting from like Hong Kong, or, from the North Pole, or from the Netherlands, or wherever, or from Zanzibar, you'll know why, and it won't be a surprise. So stay tuned for that. I'm going to be looking into more resources, and if you guys are interested in investigating or even thinking about living a location independent lifestyle, then I will start putting the resources that I'm finding on my blog, so you guys can sort of follow along with that. So that's definitely coming, and we'll see what happens. And then finally, and I'm getting kind of tired actually, so I'm glad that I'm coming to the end. I'm sure you guys are too. Let's talk about Blackheart Bakery, y'all. I am just so excited because, all right. So what is Blackheart Bakery? Essentially, I realized recently that I want to not only write novels and things like that, but I like creative marketing. I really, really enjoy just unique, fascinating, just tantalizing ways of enhancing one's marketing and one's brand and one's reach. And I just by accident came across this amazing website. I believe it's called booksense.com. Okay. And I love the fact that I came across this because it essentially confirmed what I've been thinking about doing for the past however many years. But booksense.com basically is a website wherein this lovely young woman, I don't remember her name, but she helps authors to create candles and scents based on characters, locations, or like the theme of that author's book. And I think it's just amazing. The candle looks incredible. You get up to 70 hours of burn time with the candle. And she especially creates recipes and scents according to the brand of your novel, which I find so incredible and so amazing. And this woman is going to go so far, and I wish her the best of luck. If you are interested in that kind of service for your book, definitely go to booksense.com, and that's scent as in like the scent of something. So that's BOOKSCENTS.com. And check her out, go order and get your life, and also get your candle, because she will make you a personalized candle that you can then give out to your super fans and give out as a part of your giveaways, just to liven up your marketing reach and your marketing brand as an author. And when I saw that, I was like, that is the perfect confirmation, because I have been thinking about not doing necessarily candles, although I'm not against that, but creating actual baked goods and treats based on, certain tropes, characters, and themes that appear in my novels. So creating recipes specifically based on, the books of Ezekiel, right? So I was thinking about all the different kinds of, baked goods I can make, different things that are easily packaged that I can send in the mail that like will come fresh and delicious and won't go bad. And I came up with all these amazing recipes because I was just so jazzed. I was like, man, I really want to do this. And so then I was like, well, then, when do I do it? How do I do it? And then what do I call this? And immediately Blackheart Bakery popped into my head, because you guys know that I do the dark and gritty thing, but I also write a lot of my stuff from like a very authentic place of like pain and suffering from real life situations. Mind you, the books of Ezekiel is not an entire real life situation, but just different, circumstances, different social issues. And I basically write from the heart, but my heart is a little dark, right? It's a little black. Not just on the inside, but black on the outside, if you can see this beautiful chocolate skin. So I said, oh my God, that is the perfect brand, Blackheart Bakery. And so I've decided, not this year, but in 2018, for the last 3 months of the year, from October 1st to December 31st, and this will be a yearly thing, I'm going to open Blackheart Bakery. And Blackheart Bakery is essentially going to be selling homemade cookies, homemade mason jar cakes, which are delicious and amazing, homemade chocolate, and also homemade hot chocolate, like hot chocolate flavors that I like literally create with my own hands. It'll be artisanal baked goods based on specially created recipes from my novel series and my franchises. So I'm going to actually give you guys, and I was actually a little bit leery about putting this out there, but the bottom line is that creating sweets based on a theme is it's not like I'm not the first person who's thought of it. Let's just say that. And then on top of it, because I'm only making treats based on my novel series, it's not based on anybody else's. Not to shoot any of you guys down, but I will not be opening, at least not at this point, Blackheart Bakery as a service to other authors until I know that I can do this and sustain this and make sure it's successful or whatever, which will be for a few years. But for the first few years of us being in business, I'm essentially just going to be developing baked goods and treats based specifically off of my novel series as a special swag reward for my super fans. Of course I'll be selling them, but of course I'll also be doing giveaways and gift bags and things like that. And Blackheart Bakery will only be open during the holiday season. So I was thinking about only opening it during November and December, but being as we're called Blackheart Bakery, I can't miss out on Halloween. I mean, that would just be hypocritical, right? How can I truly claim to have a black heart and put it into my baked goods if I'm not selling baked goods throughout the spookiest month of the year? Come on. So yes, from October 1st to December 31st, Blackheart Bakery will be open. And that's actually also when my writing is going to slow down to a very small trickle. My plan is to try my best to have my works finished, polished, and published pretty much between January and late October. And then after Halloween is over, publishing at Rebel Ragdoll Press just stops. Because I realized, just looking at my own rhythms and my own creative patterns, that I really like to take November and December to slow down, reflect, to really meditate and think about my growth and to think about where I want to go. And at that point, I'm just tired from hustling the entire year, and I want to do other things. I want to just kind of turn the brain off just a little bit and just use my hands and do crafty things, get into the holiday spirit, get into the holiday mood. And so this is a really great way to allow my intellectual side to rest and to recuperate, and really help to engage my more kinetic physical side, my sort of hands-on, handcrafty Betty Crocker side. And so that's a really good rhythm for me personally and creatively, but it's also just a really great time to show my readers appreciation for them being with me for so long and being so amazing. And it really helps to translate my sort of intellectual creativity into a more physical creativity, and helps me to spread joy, black-hearted joy, of course. So let me just read you a couple of the really awesome recipes. I'm not going to give you the secret ingredients quite yet. You'll get that if you order. If you order from me for next year, then I have to tell you what's in it. But here are some of the names of the cookies, chocolate, mason jar cakes, and hot chocolate powders I'm going to be selling. So, the Cohen Dirty Bomb, right? Now, like, you guys know that Cohen's in my story, the Knights of Almo, is essentially a terrorist group. You're going to find some interesting things out about them as you read along throughout the series. But I thought that the Cohen Dirty Bomb will be a really interesting way to like label a baked good, and it's gonna be so good. I already know what's gonna be in it. It's not poisonous for you crazy people who think I'm gonna try to kill people. No, the Cohen Dirty Bomb is the cleanest, most delicious, like I wouldn't say the healthiest, but certainly the most enjoyable dirty bomb you'll ever experience in your life. And it's just gonna be delicious and amazing. So that's the name of one of the treats. Utsure's Wrath, and you guys will meet Utsure soon, just like not right now, but that's gonna be my line of baked goods. I have a little bit of hotness to them, a little bit of snap and pizzazz to them. I will also be having the Black Queen, so you guys will also meet the Black Queen very soon. And then another line of baked goods called Forget-Me-Nots. And so all of these, and this is just literally the preliminary list. There are so many that I'm creating and making. I'm creating an entire Beauty and the Beast, Belle and Beast theme baked good line for the Rose and John Doe's book that I'm writing for the Hitman of Happily Ever After series that I'm writing. So it's like every single book and every single series is going to get like its own specialty collection of baked goods, and you'll be able to go on and order them. And I'm going to use the freshest ingredients that I can, just like real cacao nibs. Like I'm actually gonna like make the chocolate bars and make the hot chocolate powder from actual scratch. I'm not gonna be buying no Nestle chocolate, packets and then just throwing other stuff in there. No. I'm going to make homemade hot chocolate powder so that you guys, when you get them for the holidays, you get your own whatever recipe you wanted based on like the franchises. You can order that and share that with your friends and family and just get your life. So, using the freshest ingredients, making things from scratch as much as possible to kind of give it that extra little sprinkle of love on top of it. So those are just a few product ideas that I have going on right now. I also have Franz's ear warmers. That's going to be the one with the delicious rum and Kahlua in it. So I'm just like, because you guys know that Franz he's an alky, he's a lush. So whatever has his name on it is going to be for the grown and sexy only. So FYI, if you order some Franz ear warmer cookies, they're going to be cookies with a little bit of kick. With the Kahlua kick or the rum kick. So I'm just really excited about literally using, these different ideas that I have for my novels, my franchises, and my brands, and transforming them into something that I can use to like feed people and make people happy. And that makes me really happy inside. And so the Blackheart Bakery brand will be, I've already bought the domain. So you hear me just being crazy. I need to go to bed. I already bought the domain name, and it's theblackheartbakery.com. Don't just put in Blackheart Bakery because somebody else just took that domain name and is just sitting on it and not doing anything with it. It's called theblackheartbakery.com. And actually alongside of that, maybe not next year, but the year after, definitely, I will be expanding the Blackheart brand into not just from Blackheart Bakery, but also into the Blackheart Boudoir, which is going to do some very limited skincare and hair care like products, again based on my novel series. And then I'll do some t-shirt merch and some mug merch and just like little merchandise bits and nicks and knacks, and call that the Blackheart Boutique. So I just went completely crazy with the Blackheart brand, creating the brand, conceptualizing it, developing it, planning for it. But as you guys know, I'm very good at brand creation, but The real test comes with the actual sustenance, right? The actual watering of the brand, the actual keeping up with the brand, the quality of the brand, making sure the legalities of the brand are all on point. Making sure the brand is incorporated and protected and ethical, and that it's growing and that it's successful and that it's profitable. So, that's why I'm starting off with such a limited sort of scope, starting off very small, just doing the baked goods part of the brand, and then I will be expanding from there. And just also trying to keep my recipe list very small and contained in the first year as sort of like a trial run, right? Because there are going to be some kinks, there are going to be some road bumps, and I don't want to have too much on my plate as I'm trying to work out the processes and the product of the business. So this is just yet another sort of, I don't know, just another thing that I'm doing to kind of enhance my author brand, enhance the brand of Rebel Ragdoll, and I hope that you guys are interested in checking out what we got going on. By the way, I'm an amazing baker. Even if I do say so myself, I make some really amazing baked goods. My specialties are like pies and tarts, but I'm also very good at like cakes and cookies and stuff like that. So whoever's around me during that time is going to be doing a lot of taste testing to make sure my baked goods aren't crap. But yeah, I'm super excited about it, and I've been working on it just again in my copious quote unquote amounts of free time. And I do believe eventually I also want to create the Blackheart Bake Book or the Blackheart Bakery Cookbook, and I've been wanting to do this project for a while now, and it's sort of just again coming back, as most of my ideas do. It looped back into a bigger idea. But I would love to, in a couple of years, literally help authors market their books and their novel series, but through a culinary perspective, by putting together, like literally creating an entire cookbook and a pastry book, a pastry sort of recipe book that is based off of like recipes that I would have developed for other authors and their franchises, So I'm thinking of, for example, if this would never happen, but if I were to ever get J.K. Rowling's permission to create a recipe for the many different meals she had in the Harry Potter series. I mean, I think that she had like, I forget like even like what it's called, like the English pudding. Like she had, let me not butcher that and insult people who are living in the UK right now with my bungling. But if you read the Harry Potter series, every time they were in the mess hall, that they were in sitting down at dinner, they had some delicious freaking meal going on, and she described like the entire spread. And I'm just like, I wonder if JK would be interested in having someone develop an actual recipe for all of the meals that were served at Hogwarts, right? I mean, wouldn't that be an amazing way just another way to market the Harry Potter series? And then I was like, well, I'm never going to get the rights to do that, and I'm never going to have the money to purchase the rights from her to do that. So how about I just offer that service to other authors? Like if you're an indie author who has written a sci-fi series or a fantasy series, a trilogy or something, and there are certain recipes that I can create for your series. Like let's say your series has I don't know, like a bakery scene or something like that, and maybe your series is about like a dragon. Maybe I can make like literally create a recipe for an author for like a dragon cake or like a dragon mason jar cake or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, but then in addition to creating a recipe or recipes based on authors' franchises, we can just put them all together in a single sci-fi fantasy cookbook and sell it on Amazon. I mean, it's a great way to make some really great money, but it's also a really great way to get marketing out about your book. Like you have the recipe, you have a picture of like the final product, because that's what cookbooks need. They do need to have some real life food photography up in there. And then on the like maybe on the flip side of the page, you have the actual name of the series, the blurb, you know, some pictures of the book covers, a small little photo and like bio of the author. And literally each author would get 2 pages, the recipe page and then his promo page. And then like he'd be, if I made a recipe for a cake or cupcakes or cookies, he'd go in the cookie section. If it were, you know, an entree recipe, he would go in the entree section. And it would literally just be an entire cookbook of sci-fi and fantasy recipes. I've wanted to do that for the past 2 or 3 years, but I didn't really know how to sort of conceptualize that completely, and I just wasn't ready time-wise to do it. But I think with the opening of Blackheart Bakery in 2018, I'll be able to finally start developing a platform wherein I could get authors interested in allowing me to do that for them. But I do have to sort of figure out what the what the rights situation is, what the royalty situation is. Like, do I have to buy the rights from them? Like, do they volunteer just to let I don't know how that works, especially since the cookbook is going to be sold. Are they just happy just to get marketing exposure? You know what I'm saying? I don't really know. So I have to sort of think about that as well. So those are all the things that are going on in Blackheart Bakery world, and I'm super excited about it. And I guess we'll see what happens because I know I have the idea now. I can use the rest of the year and next year to pretty much plan out, budget, and just little by little kick it off. And I'm super excited, and I hope that you guys are too. I think this year, before the year's over, I will be getting a logo or a series of logos done for the Blackheart Bakery, probably for all the Blackheart franchise subsidiaries or whatever. And then I'll just have a coming soon page up at theblackheartbakery.com, and I will open it on October 1st. So that's the plan. And I know that you guys must think that I'm completely crazy and just out of my mind with all these projects and ideas, but please know that I am working on moving my projects forward a little bit at a time. You can only really do so much when you have limited time and you're a single mom and have limited income, but I know that if I keep pushing forward the Fempire, keep having my ideas, even if I put them on a slate for years down the line, and I keep working towards everything that I want, I know I'm going to achieve it. And it's just about increasing productivity, being able to be more efficient, and also just focus on growing one part of the Fempire at a time. And that's one thing that I'm going to leave you guys with, is that I think it's important to really have big, major goals, major dreams, and to write out your plans and to really consider what you're going to do in the present and in the future to make your plans. But please remember that what you focus on will grow. And sometimes you have to focus on one thing for a long time before it becomes successful, and then you have the capital to do something else. And so that's a lesson that I have really only started to learn in the past couple of years. And I really have, it's just really been driven home into my head the past 6 months as I've seen New Adult Noir grow, because I've been focusing so much on that. And then over the summer, as I saw Hollow Point grow, because I was focusing so much on that. So you don't want to split yourself a million different ways. I think it's okay to realize that you have a lot of amazing ideas and to put them to the side, or to schedule them out for a particular date where you're going to start working on them, which is why the Blackheart Bakery is not scheduled to open until October 1st, 2018. So, just keep pushing, keep focusing on those things, keep trying to grow those things, and wish me luck, because I need it. I need luck, and I need a virtual assistant, at least one, if not like literally a whole army of people who are just as passionate about this as I am. If only we had cloning, right? So, okay, I'm out of here. I'm exhausted. It's time for me to go to bed. I've had a very long but productive day since 3:30 this morning. And I will see you guys hopefully next Monday, November 13th, on time, because we're really cutting it close to the end of the semester. And I just This is like my therapy. Talking to you guys is like the way I connect and also my therapy. So thanks so much for tuning in as usual. But in the meantime, I will see you guys. And I may have a political podcast coming up soon. We'll see. But write on, read on, rock on, stay gritty, dark, noir, witty. And I'll see you guys next time. Mwah! Bye.